Hey everybody.
Hi, how's it going? It's week two.
Week two. Oh my
Week two. I know.
You're telling me great things are happening in the bar.
Great things have been happening in the bar. We've had lots of new people join, even in the middle of the challenge that we're in. We've had so many people posting their before pictures. I'm sorry, I have a cough drop on my mouth. It's for your benefit, I promise. It's like people are interacting, people are seeing progress, we're getting growth, everybody's getting their orders. It's and people who haven't gotten their orders yet, they're making do with what they have. So all of this is so exciting. So welcome to week two. So let's go through the overview of what we're going to cover this week. We're going to talk about nail anatomy. Anna's going to get her nerd on. We're going to talk about the life cycle of nails, and we're both going to get our nerd on.
Yep.
And it's going to be great. We're going to talk about genetics. We're going to talk about lifestyle. We're going to talk about health. Oh my. So that was a play on
I'm in a weird mood.
lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, whatever. It was a stretch, but there we go. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to make the best with what you've got. And we'll go into that more next week of weird stuff happens. So just be patient with us. We're just giving you, we're fire hosing you every week.
Yeah.
But we can only fire hose you so much before it's way too much. So we have to chop this down in 2 weeks. So this is what we're doing. So Anna, anatomy of your nails.
Let's talk about the anatomy of your nails. So,
yes, please.
In the 7 years that I've been doing this, I have watched this image change a lot. And so what we understood back then keeps changing as Doug talks to more people, more medic doctors, more dermatologists, all of this. So here, this area used to be considered the proximal nail fold of the proximal fold of the eponychium. Well, now, so that's that tight band of skin. Okay, well now we've learned that the eponychium cells are actually one layer of cells that sit on top of the nail plate when it's being made. So it's
under the skin.
Yeah, it's under all of that skin. But as it's growing out, so you can see these little balls, and those skin layers turn into cuticle tissue because they're tightly gripped to the nail plate. And the nail plate is this yellow area. So we now call this the proximal nail fold, and it goes all the way up to your first knuckle. So, So, okay, I guess I haven't ever actually gone through and talked about every single part. So we all know we've got our distal phalange, the hip bone. Yeah. So that's that last digit. The nail bed, pink part underneath the nail plate. So this yellowy area is the nail plate. That is dead. The only time it's alive is when it's back here underneath all of the skin and it's being created by the matrix. So I don't particularly understand how it's all happening back in here, but that part's alive. Once it gets to the point where you can see it, it's no longer alive. Unless
the nucleus dies and it moves forward, it continues to get pushed forward as dead keratin cells.
Right. And so we don't normally see that unless you have a lunula. So that moon that's down there, that is the exposed portion of the nail matrix. And that's why those cells, while they're alive, they're opaque. So I'm
going to throw an analogy at you, Anna. So all the nail plate things is like your hair that has left your hair follicle.
Yep.
Like all this is dead keratin tissue.
Yeah. There's nothing that you can do to make it alive.
You can't make it alive, but you can preserve its health.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, then we've got two layers. There's of what we think of is the eponychium, but there's also the hyponychium. And so that is this area underneath the nail plate, right when it leaves the nail bed and becomes your free edge. And then the stratum corneum, that's just the layer, top layer of skin.
Stop touching it. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop touching the mouse now.
Okay.
Get it bigger.
Okay. So I think I've covered that one.
Okay.
The biggest thing is to understand right here is, and we'll talk a lot more, I think that's your next slide, is what's the difference between the cuticle tissue that's riding the nail plate versus keratinized, which
I'm
means
not seeing your mouse.
extra.
This gray part, the cuticle tissue, versus this gray part of the keratinized proximal fold tissue. Okay, now I see your mouse again.
Yeah, so I think I have to click on it.
Okay.
So this area right here between what is the cuticle tissue, which rides the nail plate, versus what is the keratinized proximal nail fold, which is that band of skin that can get stretched out by the cuticle because the two have a death grip.
Yes.
So we'll talk more about that.
Death grip. It's like my kids fighting. Stop fighting, kids. Okay.
And your boy, a wrestler, man, he gets death grips on other kids and
yeah,
me.
he tore a tendon in my ankle.
That's right, he did.
All fun and games until somebody gets their ankle tendons torn.
Exactly.
All right. Can you adjust the slides, or do you need me?
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Gotcha.
Ah. Okay, so
All right, everybody. Here we go.
Our lovely James.
Hi,
He stole his finger. But he has great grubby nails.
He has fantastic nails for this visual.
Exactly. So you can really see his cuticle, that dead skin on the nail plate, the keratinized, and all that means is buildup of extra skin tissue. So another way of looking at that is when we are shoveling or swinging on the monkey bars and we get those calluses, that's all it is. It's extra keratin.
Callus, yeah.
Keratinized skin. So we need that to be happening here to have this guardian seal that keeps all the germs and bacteria out of the matrix.
Guardian seals.
That's alive. Down here, the keratinized fold, the cuticle is dead. The nail plate is dead. Lunula, this exposed portion, as you can see, it's more of a milky color. That's the exposed portion of the nail matrix. Now, right here, that is the line of demarcation, and that is death, right there.
That's what death looks like, y'all. And not everybody can see death happening.
No, most of us can't, because if we don't have a lunula that you can see, it's all then underneath here. And so,
yep.
Okay, so I'm not used to driving.
Now you're driving.
Okay, so life cycle of your nails. Kirsten put all of these wonderful slides together, so some of it's a little bit new to me in terms of how she's put together all this great stuff. So she's put it together in a really nice way. There's 5 stages. So we start with all of that unseen stuff that
I'm going to drive here for a second while you'll explain this. So this first one, the cells divide in the matrix. So let's look at the matrix. So here we have cell division, which is called mitosis going on. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And as these new cells are produced, they're going to be pushed forward from this matrix. So they're being formed all through this green part, and they all stick together and they get shoved forward like the mama bird pushing the baby birds out the nest so she can have a nap. And then
it's kind of like, aren't there, we were looking at, there's rails kind of like on the nail bed. So that the nail plate sort of glides over.
So then that's part of it, of as it is below here, as they're being formed, they get pushed forward, and then you have these guardrails on the side of our guardian seals. So not only does it protect you from bacterial and infection and stuff, it's also shaping the way of where it goes, of like, here, young baby birds, here is how you provide for yourself so you can go away so mama can have a nap, basically. It's summer vacation, so there you go.
So yeah, it's really, I mean, these new cells are being pushed. It's constantly happening, except for
the proximal fold cells. So these are an entity in and of themselves along here, right, Anna?
Yes.
So as these are growing, so if we look here, these keratinized proximal fold cells, they're going to keep growing out and kind of pushing out and upward. And we'll look at some more photos later in part of the presentation of where it goes too far. And there are issues when it gets too far. It is very important that it is there. It has an actual function. And like with anything, it's going too far, and that causes issues. So that's fine. Right. Talk about that.
So as you were talking about, that proximal nail fold undergoes hardening because we need it to.
Yep.
And that's known as keratinization. Pretty fancy word. So we kind of talked about all of that. And then once it leaves the nail bed, then we have free edge.
This right here, the white part, everything that everybody covets, this is what we think of as nail length. This is your free edge. As soon as it leaves your nail plate, and it's...
No, it leaves your nail bed.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. All right, go ahead and drive.
That's it? Okay, I'm back to driving. Woo! This is so weird. Okay, so this was an image that I haven't actually even really used. So this is how much our nails grow over a year.
And this is from Doug Schoen's book, Nail Structure and Product Chemistry.
Right.
And I have the book at my house. I know I said this, but I'm also excited that it's at my house. I'm taking very good care of it, Anna. Thank you.
She's geeking out over my $75 book.
No pressure. It's fine.
Crazy that it's expensive. Anyway, okay. So people don't know this, and I guess people are different, but the average, most people, it's your middle finger that grows the most. So they do grow at different rates. So I think what's really interesting is that we get this backwards perception of growth based on breakage. So a lot of people think that their pinkies grow more, but that's because our pinkies hardly touch anything.
So we get less wear and tear on our pinkies, and while our middle fingers are growing more. Oh, there's such a great photo in Doug's book of all of the veins and the everything that go through it. And the middle finger has the most vein structure that goes in, so it's getting the most circulation. So it makes sense that one is going to grow the most.
See, now she just geeked out over that picture, and I just kind of glossed over it. It was like, oh, that's nice.
I'm like, oh my God, look at the veins.
Oh, so cool, yeah.
Vampire.
All right, so this is where Kirsten gets geeky. Me too. So the nail plate grows at different rates. It takes, this is one that, it takes 4 to 6 months to completely replace your nail plate.
And it can take longer if you have other health issues going on and your body is needing all of those nutrients and energy to take care of other things. Your fingernails kind of get the shaft. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, they do.
They're a low priority.
Exactly. The priority is take care of the poor. It always amuses me when people start taking biotin and then they say they've been taking it for a week and they're like, my nails are so much stronger and they're growing so much faster. And it's like, yeah, no, they're not.
We haven't seen that yet. That takes at least 4 weeks minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then as many of you know, they grow 20% faster in the summer, or if you go somewhere warm, they're going to grow faster. And also grow faster during pregnancy. But that stopped.
That didn't work for me. I had other health issues going on when I was pregnant as well. So, all right, I felt ripped off, and I was not warm while I was pregnant either. I was really counting on that, but hey, whatever. Move on.
Well, and mine grew, and then you stop being pregnant, and then they break, and your hair all falls out,
and then everything sags, and we raise our kids, and we move on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so another thing. Nail growth slowly declines after age 20. That's because Mother Nature figures you're pretty much getting ready to be done on the planet. Procreate and then move on.
Yep.
And then nail biting or accidental damage does cause your nail plate to grow faster. So those are the 3 scientifically proven ways to have your nails grow faster. Notice that there is no product in that list.
There is no product in that list. So just to add a little bit to the damage, accidental damage causes it to grow faster. So if you go on a hike with new hiking boots and you get all of these blisters, what that's going to do is tell your body, we need more nails or skin cells here, stat. And so that starts to form the callus. So it's the same thing with your nails. As you damage them accidentally, or if you're biting or picking, it sends the same signal to your body of, we need more nail cells, or cells. So that's the reason that biting and accidental damage increases growth.
Yep, exactly. All right, your turn, because this is your fun turn.
This is the fun part. All right, so, oh crap. Hang on, let me move the right thing here. All right, so as we talked about things and we percolated on things and all of the stuff of how can we help everybody normalize this whole cycle, because there is a cycle and it's a natural, healthy cycle. In our groups, we've seen so much mourning and grief over the breaks. And as a psychology brain nerd that I am, this is something that super interests me, because breaks and all of these things are actually part of life. So if you think of life in general, you know, we're born, we live, we grow, we age, we die. Death is actually the inverse of life and birth, and it's all part of the thing. And the reason that we have so many emotions around this is because we place a certain judgment on it of death is bad, or death is scary, or whatever it is. And so if we translate that into nails, we idealize these beautiful, long, gorgeous nails, and we don't have proper vocabulary, verbiage, society, culture, whatever it is, to make the part of death as acceptable as part of life. So what we have here is the cycle, and we wanted to compare it to the seasons of life and a tree, just for analogy purposes, so that we can help to give everybody vocabulary, give everybody an image of what it looks like. So when we all start out with nubbin,
I gotta say, before you get started, thank you to all of the people, the amazing Blissettes who jumped in and like threw pictures at you.
Thank you guys.
All the different versions of seasons so that we could put this together. And
yeah, we couldn't do this without you.
Yeah.
It's great. Okay, so if you think about the seasons, normal seasons in life, depending on where you are equatorially, in the end of winter, you're moving into spring, you have a little bit of grass, things are kind of growing, but the branches are still naked. So that's what we want to call nubbins zone. Like we've all had that of where there's no white tip, there's no free edge, it's all just like nail plate to the very end. And that's our starting. So that's our beginning of spring, of transitioning out of winter into the season. What we really want to focus in this is the transition points and how that is normal. And while we all get super frustrated in those points, it's also part of the process, the natural process. This is how our nails work of after we get to this point in free edge, we're in a certain season of our life, and eventually these cells that are dead are going to die, and they're going to break and chip and do all of the annoying things that we're going to work against. And at the same time, we still have things going on for your next spring. So we want to help you guys focus on spring and what that looks like.
Just like, I think you were talking about branches before that.
Yep.
Free edge is just out there. It's exposed. It's banging into all kinds of things. And so they're going to break sometimes.
And so really what we're looking at in these images too is the core, the root of the tree or the base of your nail where all of the production of cells goes on. This is an important part to help us keep grounded in our perspective of where am I now? And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a failure and life is terrible and everything's going to explode. It's just you're in a different season of your life. So you start out winter, you get branches, you get flowers. It's beautiful. Spring is a lovely time. It's also kind of annoying because everybody's allergies are going and all that stuff. We move to summer and the leaves get like the big, beautiful leaves and all the trees are filled out. And like this year, driving around with my kids on the island, they're like, oh my gosh, the trees look so good when they're not naked. So it's like the trees are no longer naked. It's like, this is naked. And then we get to summer, it's like, oh my gosh, we got apples on the trees, we got pears, the deers are going mad with all of the bounty that's going on. It's just beautiful and healthy. And this is, I would guess, what all of us really want. We want to keep summer going forever. 5 o'clock somewhere, whatever you want to say. It's the magic zone. And then we get to fall, and fall is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love fall. And fall leads to winter, you guys. So as your nail bed leaves the nail plate and you have all of this free edge, the longer the free edge gets.
Okay, I'm going to correct you.
What did I say?
You got it backwards.
Okay.
Your nail plate leaves the nail bed.
Oh, yep, that. Your nail, yep. It's been a long day. So your nail plate leaves the nail bed, and as soon as you leave the bed, that's when crap happens. It's like every day in life, right? It's like, I'll be fine as long as I just stay in bed, and as soon as you get out of bed, that's when crap happens.
In bed where it's all
like, your kid comes to you, is like, Mom, I think I have pink eye. I'm like, I forgot to tell you I needed snacks for class today. Like, just don't get out of bed.
Exactly.
That's where you have to get creative. And it's kind of the same thing with your nails. As soon as it leaves the bed, you gotta get creative to keep everybody safe. So, like thinking of a tree, after it's produced its fruit, it's done. It's finished that biological purpose, and then the leaves start dehydrating. The roots of the tree and the trunk of the tree starts producing less chlorophyll.
There we go.
Chlorophyll, so that the leaves start losing their color. They start changing all the beautiful colors that we love, and then they dry out and they fall off. Here, this is also part of fall. So we have the beautiful part of fall, and we also have the there it goes, goodbye, part of fall where things start breaking and they fall off and they crumble and they die and they go back to the earth. And part of this process, as all of those things go back into nature, it helps to replenish the rest of this. So if you look at this is kind of a hibernation, regeneration, refurbishing period where it's like, okay, the leaves start falling off and then things kind of get really crappy. It's like they break at different lengths. And like, do I cut them all? Do I try and preserve a couple? It's like, what season am I actually in? What actually makes sense for me, for my lifestyle, for what's going on in the world, for whatever else it is? Should I just call it or should I preserve it? Like I'm sure everybody has taken beautiful leaves and pressed them with an iron between 2 sheets of wax paper. So you have the bed and the orange and everything, and you can preserve fall a little bit longer and hang it in your window and it's beautiful. Sure, there are things to extend the life of this nail structure, and this is Christina right here, to take you to the next. And honestly, if we actually look at the calendar of what's coming next, it's like we got winter coming, y'all. It's like, are you ready to do all of this extra crazy effort, like arts and crafts and stuff, like silk nail wraps, like falsies, like all of the other things that we do to help extend the life of these nails? What's worth it to you with where you are in your life right now? And as you continue to extend it just a little bit longer, you're also at risk for these big painful ones.
Yeah. Unless you manage the length.
Manage the length, continue to hydrate your nails so it maintains flexibility, and we'll get into all of this more later, so that you can continue it on. But at some point, those dead nail cells, you're going to have to start over. And what we really want to focus on here is that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to start over. And it's okay to look at it in a way of spring. Like, how awesome is spring unless you have massive allergies and you suffer and sneeze and snot and tear? Like, spring is awesome because it means new life and new growth and new all of these things. So that's what we're trying to normalize. So let's look at the seasons of nail length. Anna, do you want to take it?
Yeah. So these are not all me.
Nope.
Because I don't.
3.
I've never been ground zero, so I don't know who volunteered. You'll know.
We have one of the gals in that started, one of our first people in the nail by pick group.
That's awesome. So thank you for that. And then I think the nubbins.
That's
is Brittany, and then day 1 through day 111 is me. Kind of, so I'll skip forward. That day 1 of me shorties, that was before we started our company and I started using our nail oil. That's how long I could get them. I couldn't get them much longer than that. So, but anyway, so with ground zero, that's when you're starting at you're just, yeah, that's a
so like here you can see it's taken below the nail bed. This is exposed nail bed. This will be very painful. It's not going to feel good as you go through and like zip up your jeans and grab stuff in your purse. This is going to hurt.
It's going to be really sensitive.
Yep. It's going to be super sensitive.
So the nubbins, and there's some kind of, there seems to be
There's
like
a little bit of free edge right here, but we're going to count it.
You've really got nothing.
Nothing.
There's no free edge that you can see, but they may look very short and healthy.
Yep.
So you can be there and they look very, very healthy. So there is that. Shorties, you got a little bit of free edge, but it's a struggle. I would say that my ring finger is probably a better, more accurate shorties. Okay, and then getting into the medium length and then long. And so actually you can look at these and sort of, people have an idea of what's aesthetically pleasing. And so for me, actually looking at my nails, I actually think that I like them the best at medium.
Yeah.
And even between shorties and
rule of thirds. Like you can see it, rule of thirds.
It really is. For me, so like the long is my free edge equals the length of my my nail bed.
Yep.
And I felt like that was getting too long. But this is just my impression of what I think is appropriate. And I've always felt that nails look really nice if you can get them this long, between a quarter and half of your nail bed. So you take a look at your own nail bed and use that as your ruler.
And so those of us with much shorter nail beds, we don't need as much actual length to make it look good.
Right.
So, okay, so these are the seasons of nail length and the different lengths. So moving on, let's talk about how we define strength and hardness, like all of these things. So these are from Doug. Joanna, you want to go through this?
So strength is the ability to resist breaking. So what does it take? So that's the cross-linking in your nails. But also, so we get in there and you'll notice the strength, hardness, flexibility, and toughness. So strength and flexibility go together. Hardness is really, a lot of people I want my nails harder. You really don't, because then when you whack them into something, they have nowhere to go because they can't bend.
Yep.
So they break. And they're going to break at the weakest point, which is back behind the eponychium or the hyponychium, right where it's connected. And that is the weakest point. And that's why,
we get all those ouchies.
Yeah, big ouchies. So we really don't want too much hardness. And that's why nail hardeners are I can't think of the right word. Maybe you'll find it for me.
So hard as nails. Hardness, it helps you resist scratches from the surface. And that's not really relevant to what we're doing. So because we're not attacking our nails like that, you should not like have something scraping at the top of your nail bed or nail plate. Like it should be, we're not doing that. Your nail polish should protect you from that. So that's the hardness part. So the surface, resistance to surface scratches, that's really irrelevant. So the Sally Hansen hard as nails things, we don't want it as hard as nails because all that is the very surface, and we need to focus on the flexibility and the strength. We want to resist breaking and we want to make them flexible. So next slide. If you think of a healthy exercise plan, you want to build your muscles and you want to be flexible. So that's the same thing that we want for our nails. We want to be strong and we want to be flexible.
Right. And if we go back to the previous slide, your toughness, then we want tough nails. We want nails that are that combination of strength and flexibility so that they can handle the toughness that we throw them through. And so before you switch the slide, hardness, the opposite of hardness is softness. So it is possible for your nails to be too soft. Not very many people, but they do have, there are people who have very soft nails and that are overly flexible. We notice that usually when our nails get absorbed with water, like they soak up the water, and then they are too soft and they're likely to tear. So you want that combination of strength and flexibility so that they bend, don't break, but it's a little stronger so that they don't tear.
Yep.
Okay. Once you sleep over.
Okay. So we want tough nails. We don't want hard nails. We want strong and flexible nails. That's what we're after. All right. So let's switch back to the tree analogy just to kind of draw a little bit of parallels and think about things in nature. Our nails are part of nature, but we don't often think about that. So for a tree, things are going to affect their growth. If there is a drought and there's not enough water, it's not going to grow as much, and it's going to preserve all of its energy. All of its energy is going to go to its roots and its trunk to keep the part alive. So what that means is all of these extra branches that it grew in a healthier season where there was more water available, these are going to start to dry out and become brittle and break. If there's a lot of excess wind, it's going to strip away all of the moisture. It's going to shape all of the branches. It's going to do a whole bunch of things structurally to the tree. If there's a flood, too much water is going to cause issues. It's going to, all of a sudden, the roots and the base of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way too much. What are we going to do with all of this? It's restructured. It can rot. It can do all of these other things. Too much is not a good thing. It can get disease. So things like flood or damage or other things can cause disease. It can get fungus. It can get mold. It can get parasites. It can get all of these things kind of akin to what our bodies do. We can get fungus. We can get parasites.
Bacterial infections.
Bacterial infections. All of those things. Poor soil. For the tree, it's like for us, that's our diet. What are we eating? What's in the soil? What does this tree have to eat to build its building blocks of health and its cells and all of those things? It totally relates to this. Lack of care. If nobody loves this tree, if it's out on its own, if it's in a tough place and nobody's giving it what it needs, it's going to suffer damage. If there's a windstorm or like our crazy snowmageddon here in Seattle that took down so many branches of other things, if they're like it's weakened because of parasites and fungus and winter comes and it takes down a big portion of the main branches, it's a big deal for the whole overall well-being of the tree. So taking this back to our nails, I want to take it away of the things that affect your nail growth.
Okay. So just like, I mean, just goodness, it's pretty much the same as what you went through with the tree. I mean, our diet's a big deal. If our making sure that we make sure we drink enough water. We've got to stay hydrated. Because your nail bed is not going to pump up enough moisture if you're dehydrated.
Yep.
It's going to go again towards preserving the core. Poor health if you've got any health issues. A disease. The body that is not at ease. Disease means dis-ease. So that's just telling you that your body is not comfortable. It's not
happy. All of your energy has to go to fighting off things that are not working right instead of preserving.
Exactly. A surgery, you are going to heal from that surgery, but in the meantime, while you're healing, you're going to be a hot mess. And so I experienced that when I had abdominal surgery, and it took me about 1.5 years to heal properly. While my nails were breaking for 1.5 years. It was just like, well, they're going to be short. And guess what? I knew it was coming, and it was exactly month 4. It was like right at 4 months, that's when they started breaking. And I'm like, oh, well, hello. That's when the surgery happened.
Hello.
Right? And then just your general health, drugs and medication, those can make a big difference. And not in necessarily a good way. Stress. Oh, my gosh. Stress. Can we just like talk about stress?
I don't have any stress. I'm fine.
I know. We won't think that. So yeah, stress is a big one, and we tend to not really think about that, but it really lumps into if you're stressed.
It's good stress and bad stress, both ways. It's an extra. Your body produces cortisol when you're stressed, and it can be a good stress, like getting married or having a baby or making a move to a better place or taking a new job. It still produces cortisol. Cortisol is cortisol, and it can be good. It can be good or bad stress. So chemically, it affects your body the same way.
Exactly. And it spills over to other things. So, it goes right back up to if you're overly stressed, you're probably not eating very well. You're probably not sleeping very well. You're probably blah, blah, blah.
Taking enough water, drinking enough water, blah,
yeah.
blah.
Yeah. Oh, and let's see, season of the year. Summer's hard because you dry out. Winter's hard because you dry out. It's just, yeah, your job. This is a big one. People who work with fabric, paper, and water. Your job makes it hard. It's very hard on nails. Your lifestyle and your hobbies. Those of us who love to play with jewelry and some of these other types of hobbies that really require a lot of manual dexterity and getting in there.
Gardening, working with horses, working with animals, anything that requires you are getting your hands into things that strip the oil away. Having kids, washing your hands a lot, young kids, buckling, what are they called? Car seats, like opening stupid goldfish packs, like all of the things that you do when your kids are little. It's just like that we just do. So that affects the ability of your nails to make it through.
Pregnancy, make your nails grow faster. Menopause, everything starts to fall apart. And you gentlemen who are listening to this are very lucky.
Yep. You have your own things, and your other hormone levels can affect your nail health. You won't have to worry about the pregnancy and menopause bits, but you have your own bits that affect what's going on in your world too. So
exactly.
Respect either way. All right.
Yeah. It's not a song.
It's a Bible verse, actually. Everything time in his season under heaven. So this actually includes your nails, you guys. So here we go. So once again, here is the cycle. We start out with our nubbins. Like everything is starting over. We're getting ready to go into a new growth phase. So this is a transition period as well. Like each one of these, it's its own transition period. It is what it is, and it's also leading to the next phase. So that's one of the things that I really want to help everybody kind of come to grips with and find words around and kind of normalize, instead of everybody's just seeking after summertime all the time and we're not appreciating the other parts of this. Without getting too philosophic, death can be just as beautiful as birth. And when we remove the judgment from all of it, it is just what it is, and it's just part of life. And when you're able to look at it like that, you're able to find the beauty in wherever you are, which is pretty empowering, because instead of feeling shame and judgment and not good enough and the blah and I shoulda and the blah, it's like it is just what it is, and this is okay. And this is part of why we formed the Blissette Nail Bar and the other nail groups. Of this just is life, you guys, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not perfect all the time. Everything. It's all of these stages of life are completely valid, and we hold
exactly. And like the end of winter into the beginning of spring, like when I've broken nails, and I'm used to them longer than this. And then I break one and I cut them all short, and then I go, wow, paint your nails a whole lot faster when they're short. They dry faster. They just everything. Yep. But then when they're short, I get a lot more tip wear.
Yep.
And my polish will chip faster on the tips. So it's like, okay, there's pros and cons with everything.
Yep. And so like I'm at springtime right now with my nails, and I'm just realizing like, ooh, I really should knuckle to unbuckle in my car. And now it's time to actually start slowing down and all of those other things. Like, ooh, that's so annoying. And at the same time, I'm not at the nubbin phase. Like I actually have a little bit of free edge, which is a big deal right now for me.
Exactly.
Whether I make it to early spring or summer, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm moving. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the next few slides where we're going to talk about the different things that happen at different stages in growth.
Okay.
You want to drive the three?
Your verbal keeps cutting in and out of me, so I'm hoping that recording.
Oh, I hope so too.
Yeah, so hopefully.
So
okay.
nail breaks.
Oh, thank you, Zoraida.
Zoraida, you got this, girl. Like, this is such a classic picture. I mean, it really is. This is the classic picture of moving from, see, we even used you right here, from the beautiful, glorious bit of fall into all the leaves start falling. And we're moving into this. So this is such a great representation of this transition period of the nail cells, which are dead, have extended past the nail bed. It's all right. Nail plate has extended past the nail bed. And now the only way that they get their nutrients and their hydration and the oil and the replenishment is through oiling and being so careful. So careful. It's like here in Washington, it's like a good fall is we don't have rain for 2 weeks. But a lot of the time we get rain as soon as the leaves turn, and then all of the leaves are taken off the tree. So this is the same thing with your nails. Of if something's going on in your life, you're moving, or you go get groceries, or you have to make the bed, or zip up your zipper, or just like on your shoes,
grab a dog.
Happens. Whatever it is, you're at high risk. So that's also part of the cycle. That's okay.
Yeah.
Other breaks. So we got, oh, this is another one, sad one, Jamie, here on the
and
super sad. Also Carolina, so sad. Oh, our hearts ache for you. And then Christina, it's like you get breaks at different lengths. It's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do with that?
What are we gonna do?
And then we get the ouch, below the quick. Oh, Julie.
Julie, I feel for you. Yes.
Oh.
You know, what we're trying to do is educate you also in that of learning the bumpers, the guardrails, the bumpers of your life, because over time you will start to know when this is about to happen.
Yep.
You know, have the occasional thing where your hand gets stuck on something and it just, your nail goes instead of your finger. And that's probably what happened right there. That was a true accident.
Yeah.
But
we can't always avoid those.
No, accidents happen and we do the best we can.
Speaking of accidents, this is Deborah. She was changing her tire and got it smashed and bent back, so it bruised all the way under.
She's changing her tire with nails that are like this. She's amazing.
Sorry, the cough drop.
So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but in this area, whether it got bent or whether something landed on it, she immediately got broken blood vessels underneath. And that's going to turn black. It's just because
and so this right here, this is no longer going to receive oil and blood flow and stuff from the nail bed because it's been separated. So this is going to be weaker as her nail grows out, which is going to increase the risk of the side tears and a really painful side tear.
Yeah, very highly possible to tear on those sides there.
Yep.
Well, as dry out and curl. If it separates from the nail bed, it's going to dry out.
So that's a thing. So the next one, sidewall tears. These are terrible. Nobody likes these. Oh, Julie.
No, and they happen. Notice her nails are a little flatter. Like mine, I have a very strong C curve, and I can see that she has more of a C curve out towards the end. Mm-hmm. But across the nail bed, it's much flatter, and so that's why she gets those kind of tears, and I get those on my fingers all the time, way back there.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
Ouchie, ouchie. Then we have...
That's just upward forces. So when you've got a force that's going up, the body's response, the way the nails are, is that they will tear across this way.
Because if they tore down this way, we would all cry. The saddest of tears.
Yeah.
And then we have the snags and
we will not be able to catch saber-toothed tigers and pick blueberries.
All right, then. That just painted a different party in my brain. So this is the saber-toothed tiger picnic.
Yeah.
Anyway, snags and side tears. So as your free edge grows out, you're going to have these side tears and snags. It's like, all right, do I trim it? Do I file it?
Do I do a silk nail wrap patch on it? What do I do with this? I want to preserve the nails. So these are all parts of the challenge of fall moving into winter.
Right.
Peeling can start from spring. Like this can start from the very beginning. This is something that I really struggle with, and we'll talk more about the specific challenges with nail structure next week. We have things broken down. We have so many exciting things to share with you, but this is one of depending on the shape of your nail and the nail plate and how it fits with your nail bone and your lifestyle and genetics and nail layers and all of these other things. Some of us are more prone to these annoying side peels like this, and they can be devastating.
Right.
So like Jennifer's experiencing here, hers has grown out, and you can see it's starting to peel here on the free edge. So right. This part is no longer receiving nutrients, oil, water from the body. It's just out there hanging on its own. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know exactly what happened here, Jennifer, but it
that looks like delamination from improper acrylic removal. I could be wrong.
Yeah, again, so that's just what it would look like, where it's peeling from closer to the nail matrix versus the tip down. That kind of speaks to damage from removing the product.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have bruising. Bruising is so fancy. So this is a fresh bruise here on the left from Court, which
and that's where the blood vessel's been broken in the nail bed. Whereas the one from Sue, those are the white bruises that happen from trauma on the matrix, so trauma on the nail plate that's underneath the skin. And so this actually is a photograph of an image of her, and what she would do is she would push back her proximal fold, separating it from the cuticle. So basically she was saying, I push back my cuticles, and I go, with what? And she goes, a metal cuticle tool every day. And so she thought she was just pushing back, but I could tell right away she was pushing down also.
You can see how it's red and puffy here around where her proximal fold line should be.
She also cut. Yeah. So, yeah. So she was
pushing.
She was a massive fidgeter. She was like overworking them. Yeah. And so I said, put down the tool for about at least a month to 2 months. And she started to see the difference in shows. So she actually stopped using it.
All right, so we have bruising. That's a thing. And then we have ridges. Ruffles have ridges. Nails. And there are all sorts of different levels of it. And this has been so fun to see in the group. Oh my gosh, I love everybody showing their ridges. It's great. It makes me want to dip you in sour cream and chive dip and not bite them because that's really gross. But, it's like it's wonderful.
Yeah, and ridges. People think my ridges are getting worse. No, your grooves in between your ridges are getting worse. They're getting shallower and thinner.
I'm going to skip. I'm going to cheat and look forward just because it's relevant to right now.
Good. And so it is the grooves in between those are sections of your nail matrix that are not functioning at high capacity anymore.
So at your nail matrix, so let's go back to this image. Let me find it, please. So through here on top, like you can't, because this is horizontal, you can't see it, but if you were to flip it this way, there are grooves here that are happening from the matrix. Is that correct? It's because the cells are compromised, we're getting older, our bodies don't function the same way, our digestion isn't working as well as it used to. Instead of being able to puff everything up to the top level, like, we'll just squeak out this bare minimum in between these taller ones. Like, maybe nobody will notice. Right. But we do notice, gosh darn it, we get ridges.
Yeah. Those are just little sections of your matrix that are not functioning at the same level as the parts that have the ridges, which are your thickest part. So you want your ridges, you just don't want the grooves in between.
Yep.
And that's why you don't see children are in a massive state of constant growth, which is why we don't see ridges on kids very often unless there's a health issue. Mm-hmm. And it's because their matrix is working flawlessly. It's just great.
Their warranty hasn't expired yet.
Exactly. This is very, very true. So,
And so we get other things like white spots with their ridges. Thank you, Sherry, for sharing your photo.
yeah, and those are just, when we start to get that, if it's, most of the time it's acetone induced where just the top surface is getting dried out. And so there needs to be more oil around those cells. That's what, so it's called the nicolysis, which means whitening of the nail plate.
Oncholysis.
A nicolysis.
A nicolysis.
Yeah. I hope I'm saying that right.
I think you are. I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
You say it wrong.
We'll get into the book. So, okay. So here we've got.
And Anne, this is super interesting. I know you were embarrassed, but oh my gosh, this is so interesting.
Speak out, Anne. We're just like loving you.
Like you can see the beaded ridges here.
Yeah. And beaded ridges can go with a health issue. Not always, but a lot of times they can be. So, you know, our nails tell you things, but don't go on the internet and try and sleuth that out.
They'll tell you have cancer and Lyme disease and
oh gosh. So no, it's never that bad. And then because she's got these grooves, what's happening is, and I don't know her lifestyle, but if she's really busy and does lots of things with her hands, you don't even notice when your nails are getting bent to the sides as they do things. And so then she's getting these little microscopic
so
tears.
if we look right here, you can see a little tear in that groove.
Yep, that's all that is.
It's thinner and it has fewer cells together.
Yeah, yeah. And your nails can only handle so much stress of going this way and backwards, and wow.
It's physics. And then damage to the nail plate. Damage happens to trees. It could be too much heavy snowfall. It could be a big windstorm. It could be whatever. In our lives, we have our own windstorms. So Mirka, you sent us so many great photos. Thank you, girl.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so this looks like damage from removing enhancements.
Did she have enhancements on? And these are pictures after that.
I know she gave us from years back. So, and then this is a classic one I deal with.
Look at that polish.
Look at that. Look at that pigmentation in there. Look at that. You get like a little chunk and it tears down. And mine actually usually for deeper than that, it's thick where I'm like, I hate you.
Right.
And then we get other things like the side tears and healing. That one's so classic for me.
Yeah, lots of examples of. So you can see that person has really much flatter nails.
Yep, like mine are way more flatter like this. That looks way more like my nail shape. There are some ridges going on here. So this one right in the middle, that's a thicker part of the nail. We don't want to file that down. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can see lots of delamination back here on the south side, the south part in the desert area.
Right here.
Where
and this is why we don't want to peel our polish off. This is why you get the acetone.
Yeah. So it's like as soon as you get one chip, go. Just sit on your hands and
go get the acetone. Here's another one from Mirka. It's like these side peels, super classic. And like you were explaining on it, these parts, they get bent so much. You reach into your pants, you reach into your pockets, you reach into your purse, whatever it is. It's going to tap this a little bit differently. Even typing on your keyboard, wherever the point of contact is, that's going to, like the repetitive injury is kind of what it is. Of that continual force on this other structure, as soon as it loses hydration, it's going to fracture. You know,
right.
It's just
people think that a strong C curve is going to be better. Well, a strong C curve comes with its own problems, and I break so many of these little corners on constant, and that's showing how much stress is happening on the sides of my nails as a result of them being so curved.
Yep.
And I'll get more breaks than tears. So like I'll have a whole section, like a whole corner just break off.
And for me, in my transition phase from nubbins into free edge, my corners take the worst brunt of it. This is where the peels start. And for me, it will go back halfway back on my nail. So I have to be super, super mindful. And it's annoying, but it is what it is. More peeling. This looks really a lot like my nails. I'll get it, the vertical peels. I'll get the horizontal. I'll get things lifting up like this and from the side there. It's like all of the pieces, as soon as I reach fall, I'm like the little wimpy tree that has like half a day of beautifulness. And then it's all like, we're so tired. Can we just take a nap?
And people think that because I teach this and stuff that I never get any of it. That's not true.
Yeah. I posted in the group a little while ago of this.
My nails look a lot like Elizabeth's.
Yep. Yep.
So.
Yep. And then the peeling / delamination is what it's actually called. This is a more severe version, and I'll get these too. And this is where I have to be so careful because it will peel halfway back. One reach into a pocket, one running my hand through my hair, any of those little tiny things, I'm like, we're done. End of the show. Then we end up in blood and tears.
Yes.
And then we have the horizontal fractures. And this is from the pressure going forward. And
this is from a lot of times when your nail gets bent backwards.
Yep. And so in the nail bite pick spectrum, one of the classifications we came up with is the chomper. And so when I am in a chomper phase, I'm just like, beep, 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 beep. I'm not chewing the nail off. I'm not doing anything else, but it's bending the nail in the middle. I totally get those splits right across the middle. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I guess you're dead to me. Sorry. And then another Mirka. This is a toe, not a thumb. Mirka shared this with us. She had this diagnosis of fungus on either side from her doctor. We would like to emphasize that we are not medical providers. We cannot diagnose or treat or whatever. You suspect you have a fungus or something else that's sticky going on, go to your doctor, go to your dermatologist. If you don't like their answers, find another one. Fire that one, find another one.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of people look at their fingernails and they're like, oh my God, if it's a yellow spot, I have fungus. Fungus takes a long, long time to show up. It likes a dark, warm, moist environment.
And it progresses slowly.
Very, very slow, like months and years kind of slow.
Yep.
And so a lot of people will say, oh, well, I've got a fungus on my nails. It's so difficult to get it on your nails. That will tend to happen more with enhancements because if you're creating a nice dark environment, that's more.
So the enhancements on top of your nail plate provides that darkness and the moistness and all of those things that it would need to grow. So if your nail tech is not appropriately sanitizing and sterilizing their tubs, all of their tools, everything that they're using, you're at risk. Even, what was it that Rhea said? Rhea shared something if somebody didn't remove all of the gel properly and then they put enhancements on top of that. And because there was that little pocket, it created little yellow spots where fungus was able to start on.
Yeah. So there's just so much to it. And that's why your nail professional needs to be on top of their game.
Yep.
And so a fungus, if you want to know the difference, this is why we see it on toes so much, especially big toes. Our small toenails tend to grow, they seem like they grow faster, but it's just because it's so much smaller. For me, I've actually learned that my big toe takes an entire year to replace itself. And so that's not uncommon. And so you will see, since the fungus likes to eat the nail plate, it eats the keratin, but its digesting is so slow that it takes time for it to yellow and crumble. So the longer the fungus is there, it just continues to work its way down as the nail is growing out. But has the appearance of getting thicker because all of the cells are getting consumed and the fungus is the fungus is
I'm like, hey, you nail layer, scoot over. I'm in here eating and you.
Their waste process as well.
Yep. So if you think of slugs, like slugs are super slow moving. They're not going to do a whole lot of damage real quick, but if you leave them alone,
they will eat your hostas.
They will eat your hostas.
There's some other things that they like to eat. Dahlias.
All dahlias. If you have lettuce in your garden,
they like little fresh stuff. So anyway,
We'll talk more about this next week too.
Yep.
And then more damage. Oh, Catherine, we know you're suffering and we're here for you.
And unfortunately, all we can do is wait. But we had an interesting tip for Catherine as we were doing this of if your nails are so thin, I would glue on plastic nails. Full coverage nails. I would glue them on with a good nail glue and protect those nails, especially if they've been ground down paper thin. So,
and I know, Catherine, you said they are paper thin. These tips are just like you, and then they break. So at this point, when you've had so much damage, the goal is to protect the nail plate as it's growing out. And these layers can peel appropriately without causing more damage while you're healing.
When you're like that, if people don't want to hear it, but cut them.
Yeah.
You gotta cut them so that there is no free edge to keep snagging and breaking.
And I know that's not a popular answer, and if we look at our nail cycle and nail seasons, it's okay.
Coming.
Have different seasons. It's okay.
Coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Calluses and split skins. Elizabeth, thank you for sharing your toe with us.
Yes.
And I love that we can share toes in this group. I love it. Because everybody has, well, not everybody. Most everybody has toes. So it's okay. And I used to get these before I started using Honest products on my toes and feet. In the winter, on my thumbs and on my toes, I would get these horrible splits that would just split and split and split and split. So painful. And that's part of it. Like the calluses we talked about, when you're in shoes, when it's winter and the socks are sapping away all of your oils and stuff, it tells your body, we need more cells here. Can we please get some more cells? It's like, I need seconds, I need thirds, I need dessert, I need a to-go bag. And then all of a sudden, your foot's like, ugh. We have too many cells and we're not, the skin isn't able to push through all of the oils and stuff, so it dries out and then it splits. And then we have injury, which is terrible. And that's also part of life. You know, it's like if you think of a tree, at some point, some of these branches, they're going to split. And as soon as they get split, it's going to cause like more of the rain and the bugs and everything else will be able to get in, and it'll cause all of these other issues until eventually that branch falls off. So the same with your calluses. Like there are ways to deal with the calluses to remove that excess without removing too much so that your body can heal. And it is important to not remove too much, because if you remove too much, or if you use one of like the crazy peels, like feet as soft as babies' butts, we don't want our feet as soft as baby butts.
Oh, no, baby soft feet should be on babies, not.
Because babies don't walk on their feet yet. So
we need the calluses.
The calluses help to protect us, so we need like a happy medium between there. So this is too much because it's splitting and bleeding and cracking and hurting. So hydrating those extra cells instead of focusing on, instead of focusing on stripping everything off and peeling everything back, start with hydrating your cells. And that's, you know, it's like if you think of the all right, I mean, summer, we get flip-flop feet in the summer. And when the summer, we have more sun and less water, so you water your tree.
Dehydrated.
It's dehydrated.
My feet get so dehydrated because I garden across the whole property all weekend and in flip-flops. And
and
my
so
feet crack and they hurt.
You just leave the hose on for extra, or do an overnight hydration or something else, and that helps to extend the life of the skin.
And water doesn't, that's the thing, is water doesn't make it better. Water is hydrating. I mean, water is moisturizing. If you think of moisture is water. But if we want to moisturize that skin, we don't want to do it with water. So that's where it gets sort of, our English terminology gets dicey, because
if you think of it like a street raid.
What?
Sorry. But like you have all of the people coming in. If there's anarchy going on, it goes into the stores. So the stores are full, but when everybody leaves, they're taking all the stuff with them. So it's like the water comes in and it fills all the cells up, but as it leaves, it takes all of that oil with it.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
It's like a street raid.
Street raid. I'm going, what? All right,
like, where is she going? We're recording right now. This could be bad.
It better be a good one.
So yeah, it's like the nail soak is a joke that we've posted of, sure, it moisturizes your skin. The water molecules penetrate your skin and your nail oil. That's okay. Where the problem enters is when it leaves. It does not leave like a good house guest. It takes all of the towels and the linens and the soap and the everything else. And it's like the hotel is like, great. Now we got to replenish all of that.
Right.
Jerks.
All right, so let's get into this true false stuff that I've been creating for years.
Okay, so these are a bunch of quizzes that Anna's done on our Instagram account that we're going to go through now. They're super relevant. If you want to participate in these, we give away free awesome stuff. So just follow us on Instagram at @MyBlissKiss. So first one, Anna, take it away.
Eating gelatin strengthens nails. No. No. Just no.
Just no. Eating gelatin, it doesn't do what it needs to get to your nail plate. That's the one.
Okay, so this is actually beaded ridges, and we can talk about that next week.
Yep.
But obviously it's false that ridges are bad. We want those.
We want them. And like we talked about earlier, the ridges are the tallest part and the grooves are the thinnest part. So if you were to file off all of these ridges, it's like taking all of the Rocky Mountains and leveling it so it's all flat, like the Gobi Desert. And all of a sudden, all of these beautiful, strong structures are now thin and susceptible to Dust Bowl, like Oklahoma.
And then you wonder why they start peeling.
And you wonder why they start peeling. So one of the common things we hear about ridges is you should buff them. No. It leads to damages and to peeling. And what Doug said, that after you've buffed them and smoothed all of these other things down, so if you're to buff all of this out and smooth everything out, the polish doesn't bond to your nail plate as well because it's too slick. So if you think of trying to paint something on plastic, if it's not it needs a little bit of earth surface so that it can bond to it. If it's super slick, there's nowhere for it to bond to. So if you buff and make your nails all shiny, your polish is going to peel off faster. So if you look at these photos from Doug, this is the nail plate from 180 grit file and 240 grit file. This is what a typical buffing block grit is. Like, this is happening to your nails, people. Like, it scrapes all of that down to the, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then if you buff on top of it, then it smooths all of that out, and then you're even thinner, and there's nowhere for polish to adhere to, so your nails are completely vulnerable to all of the street raids of water that happen in your daily life.
And all those grooves just make easier areas for stress fractures.
Yeah, so like this right here, stress fracture. Yeah. And as your nails are growing up from your nail, your lunula and your matrix, like those ridges are going to keep coming out, and then all of this is buffed down, so it's going to have it's going to be way more vulnerable to those horizontal fractures or vertical fractures.
Okay, so
where was
I think we're into acetone. So acetone is bad for your nails. That's false. Doug has said that if you put nail clippings in acetone, leave it there for 40 years, you will come back and the nail clippings will look identical. Acetone does not get into the nail plate. It evaporates too quickly. So it's the best solvent for removing polish. If we didn't have to deal with polish, we wouldn't have to deal with acetone, but it's the best and quickest remover for your nail polish. And your gel, and your
acrylics, and your fake nails, and the
yep.
It just works the best.
Okay, this is I think this one is my all-time favorite. Garlic strengthens your nails. I think this came from great-grandmothers in Italy who use, they're making everything with olive oil and garlic, and somebody decided it was the garlic that strengthened the nails, and no, it's actually probably was the olive oil. So, no, eat your garlic. It will strengthen your nails. Wow, I misspelled that. There's a G missing.
Oh, you're right.
I'm
funny. Photoshop doesn't have spell check.
No, it doesn't. Wow, good job, Anna. Nobody has ever
I
said
didn't notice
anything.
it either. Oh my gosh. And how many times did I look at that? And I
I
didn't.
know, right?
Funny.
All right, false. Mineral oil does not strengthen your nails. It doesn't moisturize your skin. Its mineral oil is derived from the petroleum industry. Some people, there's a debate about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but personally, since we know, Doug has said it does not penetrate into the skin or the nail plate. So kind of, it's like applying plastic on top. Why bother? It's not, it's just like, no.
And one of the things in the skin disorders, I know we have a skin disorder group, the mineral oil and petroleum jelly and the ointments and stuff that are petroleum based, that can actually create a barrier where bacteria can grow and you can get an infection because you're trapping whatever it is that's going on in your body without having access to air and oxygen and other things like that. Skin needs to breathe, nails don't. We'll get to that in a minute.
Then, okay, so if they're having issues with the mineral oil, but then why is it okay for us to put our oil, our hydrating oil on skin? It's because it actually does penetrate.
Yep. So the molecular structure of the mineral oil is not able to penetrate through our skin cells. The jojoba and the blend that we have, the jojoba is a carrier, which means it, like Anna has talked about so many times, it's only one molecule structure difference than our own natural skin oil. So it's able to penetrate through the skin layers and take all of the other ingredients in with it as a carrier and deliver that goodness to your subdermal layers.
Right.
Next.
False. Products help, as I talked about earlier, products do not help your nails grow faster.
Because why?
Only 3 scientifically proven ways: get pregnant, move somewhere warm, which means just increase blood flow. And you can do that a little bit. We do that by when you stimulate the matrix and you massage back here, then you're bringing more blood flow. So you're kind of mimicking moving somewhere warm, not the same, but, and then the other thing is to damage the nail plate. Those are the only 3 things, the only ways to do it.
And then next, we're talking, so this is similar. So we talked about products help your nails grow faster. So now we're talking about application of vitamins strengthening your nails. So we talked about what strong nails mean. That means their resistance to shoot.
So
Strength means resist breaking.
So nail strengtheners have their place, especially for people with short, overly flexible, so or overly soft nails. So we're talking about the hardness. So the product, and I talk about, we use the Fab 5 wrap. We use 5 layers of polish to add temporary strength. So it helps increase the toughness of our nails, because for those of us who have really thin nails or flexible nails or whatever, the products can help. But nail hardeners can make our nails too hard. So, you know, and it doesn't matter what vitamin you put in polish. It's
so in polish, it is, if it's going on dead cells, it is dead keratin. There are no nuclei in any of these cells that the polish with the vitamins and strengtheners are going to do. So the IBX, like Anna talked about, IBX treatment helps to strengthen those super thin nails. And the reason why you can't continually use IBX long term is because it strengthens it by making it more rigid. It does not increase flexibility. So because it's not also increasing flexibility, you can only use it for so long before things start to become brittle again. Even though it's been strengthened, without the flexibility, that crap's going to break. So sorry, everybody.
Right.
So along the same line, the only way to actually impact things is what, Anna?
Eat them.
Eat your vitamins. Because
eat your vitamins, eat your healthy food, because that's the only place where you can improve it, is back behind the cuticle line where no product can go. There's nothing can go back there. You got to do it from the inside.
If you think about it, like my kids demanding dinner, of if all of a sudden they're like, over here, we want to eat the blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you should have told me about that when we went and got groceries and planned meals, because now here are the things, the inputs that I have to make the outputs that you get to eat. So kind of the same thing with your body. If you're not planning ahead and giving your body what it needs to make what you want it to make, you're going to get mac and cheese, babe. You're going to get mac and cheese. So biotin strengthens
now
nails.
this one, yeah. So this one is, yes, consume biotin. Biotin's a really, really important B7, B vitamin.
This one helps with me a lot.
Right. So B7, it's a very important, but we actually need all the B vitamins, but it is one, and it is one that I think a lot of us are probably deficient in. So is the biotin actually helping? Yes, if you are deficient in biotin. But you can take it straight as just biotin, or you can take it as a collection in a skin, hair, nails formula. Biotin by itself, for some people, causes them to break out with acne. Don't know why, but you can take it. But then those people do much better with the skin, hair, and nails formula. Same here, that's me.
And you're not going to see results from the vitamins for 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks, maybe 6.
Yep.
Just because the way that the amount of time from, it's like planning a road trip. It's like, okay, I'm leaving my house. What time are you going to be there? Oh, well, with traffic and everything, give me at least an hour before I get there. So it's the same with your body in producing your nail cells. As soon as you start taking the vitamin, it has to start here, and then it has to go through traffic to get to the destination, which is here. And
our perception is,
and you're not going to see a difference until it gets here.
Exactly. That's the point, is that our perception of our nails is how our free edge is behaving.
Yep.
We're not really paying attention to what it looks like on the nail bed.
Yep. Okay, next one.
Elvis in your tail.
Yeah, it's Elvis o'clock. Elvis, kidding.
Well, having a lunia is a health issue. So obviously, as you guys have learned, no, it's
not a health issue. It's just genetics.
We've all got one, just not all of us get to see it.
So those of you who do not see your lunula, that means it is tucked away nicely under your proximal fold. It's
much more protected.
It's more protected. It's more safe. If yours is exposed, it's also fine. Just try and be careful to not bang it. If you do, it's also fine.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Your nail shape is genetic. Yep. It's sorry. It's your matrix. It's your fingertip bone. It's just the size and the shape.
This.
Yep.
All these things.
Okay.
So we have this version of nail shape, and we're going to talk more about the other perspective on nail shape. So we have vertically long, and this is where most nail models and hand models are, like 90%. This is like the 2% of Twiggy and Kate Moss models. Not very many people have it. They're gorgeous. We all covet it. The rest of us, we get to be all happy up and all this. I have mostly inverted triangle.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've seen a lot of other shapes in our group, and all of them totally fine.
They're beautiful.
It's just your genetic shape, and that's fine. And that's what we're here to do, is normalize all this. So the other things we're going to talk about more next week are spoon nails, where it peels up, or not peels up, but lifts up on both sides. Parrot nails, which curve down. Flare, which are like mine, that kind of flip up at the edges. Flat, that just is like flat across, and the challenge is there. Club nails, which is related to a health issue. Curve nails like Anna with the super strong C curve. And then all of our lovelies with the ruffles that have ridges. And the challenges that go on there. So we'll talk more about that aspect next week.
Now this is the really fun one. When we first started this business, the people would email me, and they were just mortified if they had like some clear on the corners.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, once I finally figured out, oh, that's oil. That's oil wicking up. So like for the people who had clear in their corners, so let me see if I can point. I take over. Are you able to see this? Yep. So right here, where people would have some clear in this area, but then the rest would turn white. And they were like, what's wrong with me? Why do I have this clear area of my nails, and it's always been like that. It's like, well, I finally figured out, oh, the oil is wicking out. So, and then it stops wicking. It can't go any farther.
Mm-hmm.
And so then your nails start drying out. So now we've got this flip where basically I've taught people, oh, we want that. We now want that. We want our nails to be transparent and to have, when you've done a hydration treatment. And so now I've got the opposite problem where people are complaining to me that their nails aren't turning transparent enough. And mine, like nails and stuff, she gets almost complete transparency. And mine, I get about 50% back, and that's it. Doesn't matter how long I soak.
And what we've seen people doing the 30-day challenge do is the more they do the intensive hydrations and overnight hydrations, the more it increases their transparency. But even then, not everybody gets it. It really depends on how many layers of nails you genetically have, your lifestyle, all of these things. So if you don't get clear tips, it's fine. If you do get clear tips, also fine. All fine. You are who you are, where you are, and that's good.
Yep. As long as they feel better.
As long as they feel better. All right, this is a classic one.
Oh, you should only file your nails in one direction. Otherwise, they're going to break more and they're going to peel more.
And shred and stuff and things.
No, Doug did he went to his microscope and he took he looked at nails that had been filed versus nails that had been cut.
Not a single difference. So file it the way you want it.
I said that wrong, not cut. So whether you file seesaw back and forth like this, or whether you do one stroke, few strokes this way, and then a few strokes of filing this way, it doesn't matter. The filing edge all look the same.
The caveat I would offer there is grit matters.
Grit matters, big time.
Grit matters. You don't want to use a metal emery board. They're ruthless. Those will shred your tips. A higher grit, so if the lower number that you have on the grit is the bigger the sand particles, that's right?
And it destroys your nails.
And those will destroy your nails. So the larger grit,
240
smaller numbers, that is for buffing off the tops of acrylics or gels so that you can soak, so that the acetone can soak that. You never want to use those bigger grits on your actual nails. It will tear the crap out of them.
Right.
See the previous image. We don't want that.
Nope.
We don't want that.
And that's actually a 180, which is not horrible, but a 100 should only be used on filing down acrylic.
Yeah, I'll mess your crap up. We don't want that.
Sure.
All right. So the opposite of this one, of clear nails are good, a lot of people think that white nail tips are healthy. Is that true, Anna?
No,
it's not.
It took me a while to figure out, and I think the only thing that can come across with that is that everybody had such dried out nails that's what they coveted. That's what they thought was normal. That's what they thought was healthy. And then now we know it's not.
So the white tips actually mean that it's dehydrated.
Yep.
So if we look at the seasonal image, that's like this fall. It's like, sure, all those leaves are beautiful. Are they getting the moisture and the nutrients and the chlorophyll from the trunk of the tree? Nope. What does that mean? They're getting brittle and dried out, and they're all going to fall down and crumble.
Right.
It's just part of the season.
Right.
So white nail tips. Next, we have yellow nails are a health issue.
I love this. Thank you, Teresa, for giving me this.
Thank you, Teresa.
And back when I met Teresa, her nails were fairly short. And it's been so fun watching her. But she is one of these people, like me, actually. I tend to have yellow or tinted nails. It's just her and her coloring. She's actually very healthy. And as you can tell, her nails look fantastic. They just happen to be tinted yellow. That's just her. There's some of that is polish staining, but they're not. It's not a health issue. A lot of times it will show up. Especially like smokers will get them because of the tar, especially the hand that they use for smoking. The tar will leave a residue, a yellowish residue.
Penetrates the layers of the
It
nail.
does penetrate into the top surfaces. You could buff it out.
But like we talked about, you don't want to buff that.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Next,
Right.
this is a classic.
Should trim your cuticles back.
No!
No, that is Doug.
From Doug's book. Oh my gosh, I found it and I laughed and I was like, we have to include this.
Yeah.
So give your classic explanation, Anna, of trimming back your cuticle.
It's physically impossible. You cannot cut your cuticle. So therefore, the cuticle is dead, yes. But then the interpretation is, oh, I should remove that. No, you're cutting live skin. Is it possible that you can cut some of that skin off and not damage? Yeah, but you're playing with fire, actually. Because when we were talking about, so keratinized means buildup of skin cells. Okay, so could you, if all of that skin got so thick that could you cut off some of it and not hurt yourself? Yeah, but it's just such a big but.
Like you cannot tell where your capillaries and all of the blood flow ends
until you go out,
until you trim it, and then you're bleeding and you're like, oops, that was too much. So
yeah,
that's
it. And so no, that tool should be banned.
So what we want to focus on is pushing back gently the proximal fold, and if you're polishing your nails,
and keeping it moisturized. That's what the combination of that and massaging it with your oil, that's what keeps that band of skin nice and tight so it can do its job properly.
And it prevents excess keratinization. So as you're able to keep this hydrated, your body's like, okay, we're good here. We don't need to make more cells. When it gets dried out and your body gets stressed, it's like, oh crap, more keratinized cells, stat, to the proximal fold. Go, 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 go. And then you get home from getting groceries and you're like, I don't have any room in the freezer for this.
So yeah, people who cut, the body's response, make more cells. So then you get into this vicious cycle of I gotta keep cutting.
Yep. So what we want to do is gently, weakly push back the proximal fold, and it is not putting pressure on the nail plate. It is just barely softly sliding back to release that grip that it has, so that your proximal fold doesn't continue to be attached to the cuticle and your nail plate. Because right here on the sides, we'll start to get the peeling and the splitting.
Mm-hmm.
And doing the, so.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we've talked about this one a lot, and we'll let people just take a look at these slides as they need them. But
yep. So you see, thank you, Danielle, for letting us use these. Here you can see cuticle right here. You can see proximal fold right here. And you can see where it's tearing here. You can see how this is pulling up here. This is an issue there. These are fantastic photos. And Danielle, you've made so much progress. We're so thrilled for you.
Yeah.
But here with the proximal fold, you can see how it's connected very tightly to the nail plate. And as you're able to
the cuticle that has death gripped that, the grip, which you can't even see the cuticle because it's underneath. And what's happening is it's growing and it's pulling out the proximal fold with it because that hasn't been released. You haven't shoved your fingers in pockets enough to put enough pressure against that skin to make it release.
Yep. And so we're starting to see a little bit of the tearing going on right here, just from the tension of it as it's growing out, having that death grip with the cuticle and the proximal fold on top of it. This will cause problems, and I would totally pick the crap out of this. I would pick the crap out of that.
Oh.
So super important. This one, that's great. It's so cute.
They don't have lungs. Your nails do not need to take breathing breaks. Don't let anybody try and convince you. In fact, polish protects your nails.
We have another image of take a break, risk a break. So when you take a polish break, you're actually exposing your nails to more water and to more of the things where you're actually putting yourself at risk. So we get through that to here. It's like polish protects your nails and it provides strength.
Absolutely.
It absolutely does. And then base coat isn't necessary. Also, no.
So that's false because base coat is bonded to bond to the nail plate. It's a softer product. And then your polish and your top coat, those are made to bond to another lacquer. And so those are the ones that have the ingredients that make them stronger and shinier and more durable. But because they are stronger, they're less flexible. And so they don't bond to the nail plate as easily. And so then they crack and chip.
And so with the base coats, for those of us who have grooves, ridges and grooves, you want the bridge filling base coat to fill this up, to build it back up to the level. And all of us, we have these little microscopic pores where our keratinized cells form together on our nail plate. And this is where, from the bottom down, your body pushes up oil and water to hydrate your nail plate before it leaves your nail bed. And from the top down, as we're putting polish on, if you don't put a base coat, teensy holes are perfect for the pigment to be found in, and for water to get in and to separate all those layers. So without base coat, you're
scrub your polish, you scrub to remove, rub. You're just
shoving all. It's like my kids, when they clean their room, they're like shoving socks and weird and Nerf bullets in corners. It's like, that's not actually taking care of the issues. So yes, base coat is important.
Yes.
And it also leads us to the whole nail soak thing. Natty bombs, bath bombs. You want to keep your nails out of water as much as possible because of these holes. Look at these holes.
I know.
We don't want, and this is this is a cross section of the free edge. Like, so if you look here, you have water coming in the pores from the top down, and then you have your free edge, and then the water gets in and penetrates all of these different layers and starts to expand and push them apart. And then it does the street feed. What did I call it? Whatever it is, it steals all of the oil and leaves everything empty on the inside. And so when the water leaves, it takes the oil with it because it's a solvent. And then you got nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Sadness and peels. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody.
Wow. You managed to stay with us.
Ooh. So in summary, nails grow in phases. And sometimes it's awkward. Remember being a teenager? That was awkward. I hated it. It was terrible.
Oh, gosh.
And that's okay.
You know what? We survived.
We survived, and it's okay for those awkward faces because that's all in the big picture part of the whole.
Yeah. So your nail shape is and your thickness is genetic, so it's time to stop hating yourself. It's time to just start
Let's do some self-love and just accept us for who we are. Like, these are my cells. My body is making these cells. I love these cells.
Yeah. And just how do we work with it?
Yep.
Figuring out your challenges, what they are, accepting them. This is the way I am. This is the way it is. And just how can we work with it? And, you know, for some people, it's that they cannot wear polish. They just can't. And that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. So it's managing expectations and all that stuff. So
exactly.
Everybody for hanging in with us this week. Next week, we're going to go into more detail of when things get weird and what to do about it. And it'll be equally as good and interesting, maybe more so. And hopefully we'll
be off on her.
Oh, I'll be at my new house by then. Holy crap.
Right.
Oh,
your background will be.
I don't know exactly where my desk is going to go. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
All right.
Move.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful and insightful. Post any questions that you have. We have loved having everybody in the group. It's been such an honor and a privilege to be a part of your lives and to help give you information to help solve your problems. This is why we exist. It's fantastic. So thank you, and keep us posted, and we'll be in touch soon.
See you next week. Bye.